Okay, I'm only doing this because of some of the comments I keep getting, and now I feel like this is an opportunity to get y'all to shut up. Shh. Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits. Oh, Warner Brothers. Where did it all go wrong? I don't think enough people acknowledge that this behemoth has been struggling even before Discovery f***ed everything up. Never forget how they were owned by AT&T over 3 years ago. I could go into detail on how years and years of being under so many different owners has fumbled the studio for decades, but that's not what I'm here for today. I want to talk about the medium that WB hasn't been so friendly with lately. Animation. Oh, a major studio disrespecting animation, what a shocker. Warner has been doing animation since its early days, so much so that it's pretty much integrated into their history. Fast forward to today, and you'll see that the medium has gotten the short end of the stick thanks to Discovery. You know, soon enough they'll be the ones to discover what happens when you f*** around. I understand animation is very costly to produce, but the way WBD is going around it is treating the medium as if it's just worthless kid stuff. But don't worry, cause I'm sure you're all dying to see more of reality shows.
Okay, you are a freaking clown.
Yeah, and you're a pregnant
That's what
whore.
you are.
And you're a pregnant whore.
Guys,
It's okay. It's okay. No.
And it's not just the TV shows getting sent to the depths of my nearby mall, but this has also affected the studio's theatrical animated output, which has always kind of had a mixed reception if we're honest. Sure, they produced a lot of classics that have made their mark in the industry, but at the same time, their most recognizable movie is an elaborate NBA commercial featuring the Looney Tunes. Probably not the best first impression. So with the studio in the current state of... oh dear. I thought I'd give them the love they deserve and rank all 20 of their mainline animated releases. Rules are pretty simple. It must have had their involvement aside from distribution, it must have had worldwide theatrical release, limited doesn't count, and no, the Looney Tunes compilations don't qualify. Even with the new content, there's still, at the end of the day, shorts that already existed. Yeah, I don't feel like showboating around anymore. Let's say farewell to a month of my time and get this over with. Oh, Scoob. What a boring, miscobbled mess and waste of time you are. I knew the moment I started doing this ranking that Scoob was gonna be in last place, and why wouldn't it? Every decision in this movie makes my head hurt. The story is very hard to keep track of. First, it's about Scooby and Shaggy getting kidnapped by the Blue Falcon because... reasons. Then they have to stop Dick Dastardly, who is going after Scooby because he's related to Alexander the Great's dog, cause... yeah, of course. In fairness, Scooby-Doo has always had stupid and nonsensical plots throughout its history, but it doesn't reach the level of Scooby becomes a war machine and kisses a magical girl metal band wacky. Scooby-Doo being ancient sounds wacky on paper, sure, but they don't really do much with it and is instead used as a plot device to make the movie about Shaggy and Scooby's friendship. More on that in a bit. Now, visually, I don't think it looks bad, but why are half of the character designs here so weird and sometimes ugly? I mean, some of them like Scooby and Dick Dastardly look just fine, but god, I hate the way Fred and Simon Cowell look. Absolute barf. I only cracked a smile a few times and it was because of an F-bomb joke and this shot. But even then, I didn't even laugh once. Not even a chuckle. Most of the jokes are either lazy, bad puns, or the most painful attempts to be trendy. Hey, it looks like IKEA. You have to pay for Netflix. World's smallest Walmart. Shut the f*** up. Please shut the f*** up. I did not care for a single character. Everyone is so one-note and generic, and I liked none of them here. The closest was Dick Dastardly, but that's not saying much when I barely remember any of his scenes. I'll give credit to voice actors that they did put some pretty good effort here, with highlights being Jason Isaacs as Dick Dastardly in The Return of Frank Welker as Scooby, but nobody else really gives a memorable performance, and most of them don't even fit the character they're playing. I just said I didn't like a single character, but I think the character I dislike the most is Shaggy. Wait, no. I hated him here. Why is he such an asshole in the middle? There was this thing at the beginning about Scooby promising to never take his collar that Shaggy gave to him off, which is a keyword for he'll totally take it off before the end of the second act for emotional purposes. And he does, because he has a new super suit and the collar was in the way. Could've just put it back on after, but okay. And Shaggy acts all bratty over it when like, he literally nodded to it. Oh, but I didn't think you'd actually do it, so you don't want him to trust you? Like, what are you even saying? Then at the climax, they have to trap Alexander's dog in the underworld, but either Shaggy or Scooby must stay, and Shaggy's like, when we were kids, you saved my life. Now it's my turn. No, you saved Scooby's life. Had you not named him, he would have been sent to a pound as a stray and possibly put down. What would have happened to you? Death by loneliness? Not acknowledging that Scooby's life was also in danger at that time is not just selfish, but also makes you kinda a bad friend. But he does lock himself in the underworld and everyone cries over it, but it turns out Alexander Bell gave him to come back and means Shaggy is alive. So this whole sacrifice scene and moping about how dear old Shaggy is gone was just completely pointless. Say Shaggy, I can give you a fake out meaning. How about I push you off a cliff? I must emphasize that I do not condone violence towards fictional characters unless that character is Shaggy from the 2020 Warner Bros. And Warner Animation Group feature film Scoob. That was a joke in case you couldn't tell. I just really didn't like him in this movie. Anyway, yeah, this movie is hot garbage. Don't watch it. Watch Mystery Incorporated instead.
Stop it, Shaggy. I'm not stupid. Are you cheating on me?
Other player on this team with the Phoenix Suns is... There goes LeBron walking off the floor.
I'm gonna be real, Space Jam: A New Legacy is a weird one to me. Don't get me wrong, it's a bad movie. Very bad in fact, but it's still weird to me. Not in the way you think, however. There are some things it does better than the original, like there are some funnier jokes, ironically and unironically.
I'm shorter than Kevin Hart!
They made the tunes a bit more accurate to themselves and gave Lola an actual personality. I would like to ask questions to whoever was put in charge of the marketing, please. I really like Don Cheadle as Al G. He is so goddamn cute. I love him. And LeBron is a better main actor, though not by much. Since he has had experience in acting before, like Trainwreck, Smallfoot, and my personal favorite work of his, The NBA. Truly a mastercraft in fine arts acting. Mwah. But at the same time, it does things just as bad, if not far worse than the first movie. Trying to make the tunes hip so it can age horribly, LeBron being a complete jack in the first half for trying to force his fictional son to play in a sport, the plot being a 70% retread of the original, which also heavily utilized basketball movie cliches, so everything feels repetitive. And the constant shoving of Warner Bros. IP like, look at how many things we own, gives me a headache. The fact that Warner's own algorithm, that is, or was real by the way, is the villain in this movie, technically makes the studio the villain as well. I mean, they kinda are nowadays.
Oh, and I almost forgot. All of the tunes will be deleted, so...
Corporate irony the movie, everybody. They also try to make it look like the Looney Tunes are one big family, which, yeah, I totally believe characters that have tried to kill each other in the past are a family. And it leads to after Bugs does the move that deletes a character, they try to take his death scene seriously and he descends like he's God or some shit. But I think it would have made more sense if he just glitched out and dissolved into pixels, though that would have been way too funnier than it already is. Okay, I hope I'm not the only one, but seeing the Roadrunner express genuine emotion is fucking terrifying. I do not like it. While I did have more fun watching this than its predecessor, since I can point and laugh at how bad everything is, it's objectively the worst movie. Oh yeah, and seeing the Walt Disney World logo in an official Warner Bros. Movie feels so wrong in many ways. Did you know Disney initially wanted to merge with Warner Bros. Instead of Fox? Thank God we avoided that. But what cost?
Now I got my wish, cause I know that I'm a gay bitch.
You forgot this film existed, didn't you? Well, so did I. Actually, I don't remember this film existing at all. I must note that this was produced by the previous iteration of WBA, Warner Bros. Cartoons, which was shut down months before this film came out. As weird as it may seem, since it is a feature film with animation that was produced in-house, technically making it Warner's first animated feature in a sense, I have to count it. So, The Incredible Mr. Limpet. I think someone needs to investigate this man's fish. Yeah, this definitely felt like a children's movie. Not a very good one at that. It's about this man who wants to be a fish, and he becomes one, and he meets this crab voiced by Paul Frees, and there's also this female fish that just instantly falls in love with Limpet without time to get to know him, and they call her Ladyfish, cause why not? The crab and ladyfish serve no purpose to apply, and I don't know why they're here. Also, Mr. Limpet can roar for some reason. The film doesn't explain how he has this ability since they just don't care to do so. But they care to have this choir sing everything that's going on because its audience is stupid, I guess.
Be careful how you wish, for wishes can come true. Be sure that every wish you make is
No, it also takes place during World War II, so of course there's a lot of military propaganda in it. I'll give credit that the performances, both live action and voice acting, are fairly decent, and I really do like the way this was animated, but that's pretty much it. While it's not bad per se, it's just subpar. To be real, I thought I'd talk about it quickly before it vanishes from my memory, and it's gone.
It's here! Hi, Dragon! Why is it so angry?
Well, I guess speaking of forgetting things, Quest for Camelot is a movie I'm already forgetting about as I'm writing this. Credit where credit is due, the visuals are pretty with its colors popping out and the decent uses of CG. I do like how they made Garrett a blind protagonist, as it's not the kind of representation you see often in media, though there's a brief scene where it's temporarily cured because he's in love with Kaylee. Yeah, that definitely would not fly today. I like some of the songs, including the first one, the famous If I Didn't Have You, and speaking of which, the dragons were the best part. I had no idea Don Rickles and Eric Idle would make such a great duo, and they do. Plus, I ain't some much needed queer rep. That's pretty much the best I can say about this movie. It's honestly pretty bland. The story tries to replicate the Disney formula, and sure, a lot of other anime films in the 90s and early 2000s have done so too, and some of them have actually been pretty good. However, the problem with Quest for Camelot is that it's putting being a Disney clone first, and being an actually good movie last. Kaylee and Garrett were just so boring and not memorable in the slightest, and that says something because they're the two main characters. Though I will say, every time Garrett starts singing, it always gets me chuckling. His singing voice is great, but I don't know, I just found it funny. The villain, meanwhile, I also wasn't interested in. He wants power, he killed Kaylee's dad, he follows the two leads around without doing much, like, she's right there, dude. And he dies in the end? Great? Okay, but to be fair, Gary Oldman does give it his all here.
Years from now, no one will bother to recall your good King Arthur, because all of this will be mine!
I think my biggest problem with this movie is that it has a serious pacing issue. It's not moving too fast in a way that's overstimulating, but it's moving too fast in a way that's barely giving time to breathe and to establish itself. It's so quick to just get to the next scene, and it kinda makes the story harder to follow. A movie that's higher on this ranking, I also feel moves a bit too quickly, but somehow I had an easier and better time following the story and characters than here. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. So yeah, Quest for Camelot is pretty mediocre. Nothing else to say other than I'd only watch it again for the dragons.
Hey, don't even think about it.
Don't act like you didn't want that kiss. We saw that face.
What's that? Howdy, bitch.
I really wanted to like Tom and Jerry. I mean, I liked it the first time I watched it back when it first released, but coming back to it years later, yeah, it's not very good. I mean, I'll give it credit that they kept Tom and Jerry themselves accurate to cartoons, being kept muted, the reuse of classic sound effects, and I actually do like how they're animated here. With how entertaining they were in here, plus some visual gags that made me chuckle, they had a lot of potential to make this great. They did not, in fact, make this great, and it's for one reason. The human characters are boring. Yeah, you'd be stupid to think that this was actually about Tom and Jerry. They're just part of the B-plot. It's actually about this hotel that this girl faked being an employee at, and it must be saved by this Indian Wayne because reasons. Oh, and Lewis from Ant-Man is the main antagonist in this. Like, the actors are pretty decent, but the way they were written makes them feel so awkward and out of place. Though I can definitely say Chloe Grace Moretz going from this to Nimona is a definite career glow up. Also, fun fact, just to show how dead on arrival this was, there was an episode of the Green Hill Zone podcast where one of the main writers of the 2020 Sonic the Hedgehog movie, Pat Casey, revealed that he was actually called in by Warner Bros. To be involved in the Tom and Jerry movie, and what happened was...
They called us in for that movie, and they were sort of like, you know, how do you make a Tom and Jerry movie? And we were like, well... The main thing is Tom and Jerry have to be the main characters. If someone asks what this movie is about, the answer has to be it's about a cat and a mouse who are trying to kill each other. Yeah. Like, we can have some human characters and they can have some stuff going on, but they cannot be the protagonist. This movie has two protagonists, and their name are Tom and Jerry, and they are a cat and a mouse who are trying to kill each other, and that is the movie. And they were like, "Well, get the hell out," you know, like that. That's not what they wanted to hear.
Yeah, it fucking sucks. So, with boring human characters and everything this represents with how Warner treats the property, I can't in good conscience say that this is a good movie. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Okay, I am a bit mad.
See that super dog flying through the air. He's got superpowers.
League of Super Pets was released almost 3 years ago, and everyone's already forgotten about it. Except for how this was released before Black Adam's embarrassing flop, so this teaser after the credits plus The Rock voicing Crypto as if they're supposed to hype people up for that movie is hysterical. Anyway, this was pretty mid. There's nothing about it that I hate. I think it's well animated, it has heart, and I did like the turtle.
Update! I'm fast now, but I can't see
But there wasn't anything in this movie that stood out to me. Other than Keanu Reeves as Batman, 10 out of 10 perfect casting. I didn't find most of the jokes funny, I was disinterested in what the characters were doing on screen, and I was just kinda bored. And that's basically all I can say about it. It's not bad, but it's not good either.
Ahem! Mama's evil little genius needs a diaper!
Warner Animation's biggest flop, everyone. And it somehow still got a TV spinoff lasting 2 years. How the fuck? Yeah, this movie was a thing. I mean, I didn't dislike it, but it wasn't my cup of tea either. At the very least, it looks visually pretty. They do get creative with the inner workings of the body, and I really dig the character designs, though why they got Jones's gum sticking out like that, it scares me. The performances from the actors are decent, and I do find the idea of there being a blood cell government hilarious. Hey, wait a minute. But there was nothing else for me to say about this movie. I just didn't care for it. I didn't care about the story, I didn't care about the characters, and I didn't care about anything that was going on. This was apparently an hour and 35 minutes, but I was so bored that it felt longer. A lot of people have been comparing Inside Out to this movie, which I briefly nodded to in my review of the sequel, but after watching Osmosis Jones, I can confirm that the two are vastly different from each other. That makes the comparison sound nonsensical, but I really don't feel like going into detail as to why. In short, the major difference is that Inside Out is actually a good movie. Again, I didn't hate this, but nothing about it mattered to me that much, and I'm not gonna bother trying to remember it. Oh, and Kid Rock is here, so I can play this.
Oh crap, everybody run! It's Adult Rock!
Kid, you want to tell me why I found your mother's best t-shirt cutting scissors outside in the rain?
I don't know.
Why can't you be more like your brother, the?
Stop it. Get some help.
Earlier in the video, I mentioned the Looney Tunes compilation movies and how they're not qualified for this ranking because they're mostly recycled material. Well, before 1996, they were all we had in terms of Looney Tunes movies, even if they didn't really count as ones. Sure, like I said, while they did make new animations in an attempt to have some sort of plot, they're still obviously just compiled old shorts. But then, Warner Bros. Decided to turn that around and make an original Looney Tunes flick that not only wasn't a clip show, but also had a 3-act structured plotline. The catch being, Michael Jordan was in it. Yeah, everybody totally asked for a movie about the Looney Tunes playing basketball. Couldn't have lived without that. Oh, wait, I was joking. Regardless, the movie did perform pretty well at the box office and has since gained a cult following over the years, and that is something I won't deny. However, the quality of the movie depends on who you ask, and if you ask me, Space Jam is If you've seen one basketball movie, then you've not only seen just about every basketball and or sports movie ever, but you've also basically seen Space Jam. Player leaves team but gets their groove back, a group of misfits who don't know how to play get good, a team player that's there for the purpose of having a pointless love subplot, the team sucks at first but then make a comeback, there's this deal that raises the stakes, and before the countdown reaches 0 in slow motion, the player makes the winning shot, hooray! The Looney Tunes themselves are thankfully tolerable enough as they do bring the needed energy and comedy to this movie, but even then there's stuff about them that bothers me. Why does Bugs need help to defeat the Monstars? He's dealt with giant creatures before and was able to outsmart them like he usually does, so what makes these guys any different? Why are there bits about the Looney Tunes being trendy? They are already playing basketball with Michael Jordan, so there's no reason to add an extra layer of secondhand embarrassment. What purpose does Lola serve other than to be the love interest? I mean, if you want her to serve a point in the plot, you could have made her the team leader instead of Jordan. She already knows how to play basketball and she's already attuned, so Michael wouldn't need to be there. Oh yeah, and Michael Jordan can't act for shit. It makes sense considering he's only known for sports and nothing else, but he does not look interested in his role and his attempts to act are pretty cringe.
What's going on here? Yeah, but I'm a baseball player now. But I haven't played basketball in a long time. My timing's all off. Sure do. This place is a mess.
My poor Wilquinium.
You okay?
But don't worry, all of these problems can be solved with the return of everyone's favorite, Bill Murray! It's not to say there's nothing I like about it, the best part being the blending of live action, 2D and 3D, as it really does give Roger Rabbit vibes, and the visual effects are decently done. when they're not pure nightmare fuel. I know I'm probably not the only one who actually likes the music, because it does slap. Hearing Get Ready by 2 Unlimited always brings me back to my elementary school days. And yeah, I still get some enjoyment out of the Looney Tunes themselves, as they can still be pretty funny. And I don't think we talk enough about how good Billy West is as Bugs Bunny.
I'll be with you in a second, folks, after I finish with Nature Boy here.
Other than that, there's nothing really to love or hate about Space Jam, but if you want to feel nostalgic for the 90s, then this is the movie for you. But as someone who is just a 2000s kid,
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Oh yeah, did you know that when famous Looney Tunes animator Chuck Jones criticized the movie during a party, he was escorted off the Warner Bros. Lot? True story, everyone. James Corden's in it, 0 out of 10. Smallfoot has plenty of good things going for it. I like the designs of the Yetis, the songs are very catchy, but God, never let James Corden rap again. The voice performances aside from You Know Who are pretty good, and I really dig the premise of humans being mythical creatures to giant monsters. But unfortunately, this movie has a small amount of things to talk about. That was intended. I usually forgive generic and predictable plot lines and morals like this as long as they're given proper execution, and while it wasn't done horribly here, it left much to be desired. The pacing makes most scenes go by too quickly, the characters aren't anybody to care for that much. James Corden, and the jokes aren't funny. I can definitely see younger kids loving this one, but I think there's a reason nobody ever talks about this. It's decent, but it's not really all that memorable. Oh, and I know Justin Roiland is in this, and the reason I didn't bring him up is because he's only in a few scenes, but yeah, f*** him too.
Gaming is intense, but talkies are seriously intense.
Honestly, as much as it sucks to say, Ninjago is the weakest LEGO movie, and I can pretty much pinpoint it as the start of LEGO movie fatigue. I'll elaborate on that later. It still looks nice animation-wise, and I do like the bond between Lloyd and Garmond as well as the characters' voice performances. Plus, I find the idea of a cat being the real villain pretty funny. But I really didn't care for any of the characters. The visuals look weird when it forgets it's a LEGO movie like the squash and stretch and realistic elements. Very few of the jokes were actually funny, and I found it kinda boring, which is a red flag when it comes to this franchise. And no, this doesn't have anything to do with how I never watched Ninjago as a kid. I mean, I knew it was this show airing on Cartoon Network, but I never really bothered to give a crap about it. I don't think you need to watch the show to understand this movie, but I don't think you'll get as much into it. Though again, my thoughts on this are based on how I compare it to other LEGO movies. And while I think this one is fine, I just found it to be pretty disappointing. Not to mention, it's not a good sign of the highlight of the movie as a song that plays in the credits. I would play a sound clip here, but I don't want Warner to do that to me. Okay, let's get to the stuff I actually like.
Fill me with pleasure, Teen Titans Go!
Oh, this is gonna create such a delightful discussion in the comments. Teen Titans Go has been panned to no end by not just diehard Teen Titans fans, but the cartoon community as a whole ever since it came out in 2013. I don't need to go into detail, you know why it's hated, because the past 10 years of the cartoon community have mostly consisted of, wah, it's disrespectful to the original, it's all poo-poo jokes, it takes up too much of the schedule, they hurt my feelings, wah. Okay, buddy, here's the attention you ordered, and because I'm nice, I found you a new job. But, shockingly enough, the show still generates loads of viewership on Cartoon Network and has been super popular. Well, who knew all the hate watching actually helped them? Or maybe kids love it, I don't know. And that effort gave them an entire movie to work with. And I liked it. It's not fantastic or anything. I wasn't a fan of the toilet humor, but that's the only issue I have with it, honestly. I actually like the idea of a movie about superheroes trying to get their own movie, and being somewhat of a character study of the Titans themselves. It might just sound like an extended episode of the show, but they actually managed to make it work in feature length. Plus, there were many scenes that felt pretty dramatic and intense for a Teen Titans Go movie. The same show that had Beast Boy giving birth.
Remember to breathe, Beastie!
You're doing great!
One more push.
Ooh.
Congratulations.
Aww. I'm a mama!
That's kinda based, actually. I like how the animation looks nearly identical to the show, but with more fluid movements and better shading. The characters are fun to follow, and I really do enjoy Will Arnett and Christian Bell's voice performances, though I think not having Jay do a little bit of singing is a waste of Christian Bell, not gonna lie. The jokes I do like are the jabs at DC and Marvel and references to the show, and I do really like the songs.
I'll shake my booty.
I think if you're a fan of the show, then you're definitely gonna enjoy this. But if you're someone who is one of the millions of haters of it, that's certainly not for you. And I promise, nobody is making you watch it so you can make hundreds of anti-TTG videos for the internet. I'll also cut some slack because you're not the angriest I've ever seen someone genuinely get over a children's show.
Want some more on realism? Well, look at this moment where Thomas, Percy, and Nia are standing around a campfire. What the f is this? Oh my god! Who thought this was exciting?
Oh yeah, by the way, the guy that made this man is a pedophile. So yeah, I like the Teen Titans Go movie, and oh my god, I realized I have the opportunity to play this clip.
Guys, look! A birdie!
Baby powder! Have you seen a red-headed lady and a stork?
So, does anybody remember Storks? No? Well, neither do I, because I've never watched it before this ranking, but I do remember it existed, though nobody ever talks about it anymore. Which is a shame, because the movie is pretty funny and actually kinda adorable. I mean, yeah, the plot isn't anything to write home about, but I think what keeps it interesting are the humor and the characters. I chuckle quite often watching this, with my favorite gag being... It gets pretty symbolic when you think about it more. There's a really fast-paced and wacky energy that reminds me a lot of Hotel Transylvania. And it's added onto by the characters, especially Junior and Tuo played by Annie Samberg and Katie Crown. Their bond here is really delightful, and the voice actors did a really good job at making me attached to them, including Katie's witty energy as Tulip. I think the only instances where it loses me are when they have to explain the joke, like, I don't understand why certain shows and movies do this. Your audience isn't filled with morons, so why treat them like they are? You should only do it when necessary. But nothing else about this bothers me at all. It's a simple, fun comedy that I think both kids and even adults can find themselves enjoying. Shout out to Key and Peele, by the way. As someone who only knows Batman the Animated Series by name and that one Baby Doll episode, Mask of the Phantasm impressed me. Like TG, it may seem like an extended episode of the show, but they justify its runtime in practice, due in part to it delving deep into Bruce's trauma and trust issues. You know, typical Batman movie stuff. Alongside animation that stays true to the style of the show while looking more high quality, stellar voice acting from Kevin Conroy, Dana DeLay, and Mark Hamill, and some engaging action, it's not just everything you want out of an animated Batman movie, but Batman in general. Unfortunately, I don't have much else to say because, again, I never grew up with the series, but I kinda wanna watch it now. Can't honestly blame Warner for sending this to theaters instead of video, even though that made production more rushed and... well, I'd say I'm shocked, but...
Gender? What is this, Soviet Russia?
Have you ever wondered what Space Jam would look like if it was not only faithful to the source material, but also an actually very good movie? Well, your answer would be Looney Tunes back in action. This was originally a concept for a Space Jam spinoff named Spy Jam, which would have starred Jackie Chan, but it was then decided to be reworked into what it is today, and after numerous production troubles, it flopped in November 2003 and was never heard of again until the internet realized that it isn't so bad after all. The human characters tend to get flack for being boring too try-hard, and yeah, while they do slow the movie down in certain areas, I still find them very enjoyable. Brendan Fraser and Jenna Elfman are a surprisingly entertaining duo, plus Steve Martin is a hilarious villain, and I really do see these human stars working together with the Toons. Though yes, considering this is a Looney Tunes movie, that's where the movie shines. It allows them to go full out with their zany energy and comedy, and the meta jokes, especially the ones about the Warner Bros. Studio, are really funny and creative. Though I will admit some jokes haven't aged that well.
At first they told me to lose the stutter. Now they tell me I'm not funny. It's a pain in the butt being politically correct.
You're telling me. Yikes! Illegal aliens.
Right. I understand it's not perfect, and maybe it's because I grew up watching this over and over as a child and it's made me so nostalgic for it, but I still love this movie, and I can't bring myself to harshly criticize its faults.
No! No!
So, This is how the LEGO Movie franchise died, huh? It had been 5 years since the first LEGO Movie came out, and the 2 supplements in between that was supposed to hold fans over, aside from the Legoland Attractions and UK spin-off, were released within the same year to varying results. One of them was successful, and the other wasn't. This led to audiences growing a bit worn out of LEGO movies, and after Ninjago, they didn't really have much hope for any future output from the franchise. Sure enough, the second part didn't just leave audiences split, but it was also a box office bomb. This caused Warner to lose the LEGO film rights, which would be handed to Universal for a 5-year deal. One they used at the last minute. And it's a bummer because I actually really like this one. Sure, it's not as good as its predecessor. I still got plenty of laughs, but not as much. And I do think Rex being a future Emmett was pretty lame, though now I can see where Lightyear got the idea. But it still has what made the first movie work so well with its lovable characters, gorgeous and detailed animation that actually remembers it's a LEGO movie. And as weird as it is on paper to make this a musical, I really enjoyed the songs here. I typed the first third of this review while listening to the credits, and man, it took me back to when I first watched this in theaters with my junior high youth club. This was actually the second time I saw a new LEGO movie with the junior high group. The first was Batman thanks to my speech therapist. Not as near perfect as I remember it, though I was probably blinded by my Unity hyperfixation back then, and watching these movies again I might be coming back.
What about the power of love and my holiday spirit? Oh, silly. Love is no match for the sun.
But I still do think it holds up pretty well. It saddens me that we're no longer gonna see any more movies from this franchise, but I think what we got here is a pretty decent send-off. Plus, in some way, it could still live on. Piece by Piece, the LEGO biopic of Pharrell Williams, released last year and was pretty good. While the animation studio, Animal Logic, wasn't brought on, this might be the closest we'll get to another movie from the franchise because the animation on this is nearly identical. Just replace Pharrell's narration with professional voice actors and bam, it's like Warner never stopped making LEGO movies. They also got LEGO Kendrick Lamar, so that's another plus. But who knows? Maybe after the Universal deal expires, we could see the franchise be revived. But that's just wishful thinking. To be honest, I really don't like goodbyes. All I'll say for now is...
See you later, alligator.
See you later, alligator?
After a while, crocodile.
Here's to 4 years of clean air, clean government, and amazing new technologies such as robot!
I think a lot of animation enthusiasts know what initially happened to the Iron Giant and why it flopped. The same happened to a movie released years earlier that I'm gonna get to here in a bit, but what happened is that they were barely marketed by Warner Bros. Themselves, resulting in the movies being financial losses. But the reasoning for why the Iron Giant had low marketing is kinda crazy to me. Like, how do you run out of time to market a movie? So... yeah, what else can I say about the Iron Giant that hasn't been said already? It's pretty fucking awesome. The story of a boy watching over and befriending a military weapon is adorable. The animation perfectly blends 2D and CG, and I really do get Brad Bird vibes from it. The characters themselves are fun to follow and give the movie a much needed heart, and Michael Cammon's score slaps so hard. The thing that's keeping me from calling it a 10 out of 10 is that some parts just kinda dragged for me, mostly the scenes with Mansley living in the house. I'm not gonna doubt they're essential, but I just didn't care for them compared to the rest of the movie. But whatever, the Iron Giant's still pretty great, and its cult following is justified. Enough said.
But now it's all over. It doesn't matter anymore.
Did I not mention in this video already that I hate David Zaslav? Just thank God the day the Earth blew up was kept alive. It was initially set to be released on Cartoon Network and HBO Max, but then when You Know Who came into the picture, it was decided that the movie would be shopped around to different distributors. GFM Animation initially took the helm to give it a 2024 theatrical release, but those rights would soon be taken over by Ketchup Entertainment, releasing it in March of this year instead. And man, it really does feel like this was made for the theater. The movie is already visually pretty with its colors, shading, and very fluid character animation, but watching it on a giant screen really makes you notice all the details that you probably won't catch on a smaller one. I'm really glad this was sent to cinemas instead of a streaming service because I don't think it would have been as great of a viewing experience. Anyway, yes, the day the Earth blew up is such a fun time. On the outside, the story might seem like Invasion of the Body Snatchers again but extended 90 minutes, though it really sets it apart are the higher stakes. Peter McNichol, the invader, seriously he was great in this. And most importantly, the relationship between Daffy and Porky, giving this movie a surprising amount of heart. I know some might shudder at the thought of Looney Tunes having heart after well, Space Jam 2, but what helps this movie is that they gave the duo their own backstory with how they grew up together, and their dynamic is just very entertaining, even charming at points. You genuinely feel for these two as the story progresses, and I really want them to be okay in the end. Though, most importantly, yes, the movie is f***ing hilarious. Bringing on the team behind the HBO Max Looney Tunes cartoons was a genius choice because this was consistently funny from beginning to end. Not just in the chaotic way the characters can be animated, but there are also some clever lines of dialogue thrown in as well.
It's okay, Porky. Thanks for offering up your taste buds.
I don't mind, Petunia. You can tickle my taste buds anytime you want.
Huh?
I guess the only issues I have are that some scenes drag for a bit too long, and I think they really could have done without the licensed music. It doesn't ruin the movie for me, but I don't know, it just kinda took me out of it. Though thankfully, it was only used in like 2 or 3 scenes, so it's not that big of an issue. Sadly, The Day the Earth Blew Up might be out of theaters by the time this video is out, so at the very least, buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray. It's really good.
Shoot your web on me, Spider-Man. Oh, yeah.
That never happened!
But I kinda wish it did.
Yeah, call me a sucker, but I think Lego Batman is the best animated Batman movie I've seen. What? Biased? Pfft. Nah, you're crazy. I really dig the idea of having the plot be about Bruce's fear of losing people like his parents, and how it hinders old relationships like with Alfred and the Joker, and new relationships with Robin and Barbara. Again, nothing new for a Batman movie in general, but the way they handled the origin of Batman's partnership with said company is really impactful. As a Lego movie, the animation still manages to capture the accuracy of the style, and it still has the heart and humor that gives it its charm, but the only issue is that it doesn't tickle me as much as the previous movie. Yeah, that's kind of my only complaint. I really like the Lego Batman movie.
Cats.
Cats Don't Dance might be one of the most underrated animated films I've ever seen, especially considering the poor treatment from Warner Bros. Like, come on man, this is just so charming, fun, and heartfelt. I love all the characters, especially Danny and Sawyer. I love how the villain is a child that acts like one but is also very sadistic at the same time. I love how beautifully animated it is. I love the voice performances. I love how much better of a racism allegory it is than most media that attempts it. I just love this film. The only thing I don't love about it is that it's a bit too fast-paced at certain points. I know Mark Dindal movies are usually known for their quick pace and high energy, and I don't have a problem with it, but I feel like some scenes could have been slowed down a tiny bit just so the viewers can have more time to process everything. But other than that, please go watch this movie. It's free to watch on YouTube. Just, what are you doing? Watch it already. Oh wait, you're watching my video. Wow, what a shocker. I'm pretty sure nobody saw this coming at all. When the Lego movie was first announced, a lot of people thought it was never gonna work. Like, really? A movie made with CGI Lego pieces? What a ridiculous idea. Then it actually came out and proved everyone wrong. Yep, I consider a movie made entirely out of Legos to be not just the best movie out of Warner Bros. Animation, and not only one of my favorite animated films of all time, but probably one of my favorite movies ever. I could talk about how they managed to work perfectly with a simple and basic plot. I could talk about how the animation accurately replicates the Lego style down to its movements and textures. I could talk about how much I love the characters and the voice performances, especially Unity. I could talk about how hilarious this movie is, or I could talk about how catchy Everything Is Awesome is, but I'm not gonna do that. I think the one thing that can perfectly describe what makes the Lego movie so unique is that it's a love letter, not just for Lego and nostalgia as a whole, but to creativity. It's a tribute to those who have worked tirelessly to create something they're proud of, through drawings, through computers, through toys, and through toy bricks. It shows that someone, anybody, who believes in themselves can do and create great things, and regardless, there's always gonna be someone who will cherish that. That's the beauty of the creative mind, isn't it? Everyone can do and make something great. They may not know it, but this ability of theirs can make some sort of impact. It's why I love doing YouTube so much. The one thing I can commonly say about everything I've reviewed, positive or negative, is that the people who have made these movies and shows are proud of their work. They have a deep admiration for their talent, and it's why they do what they do. And I can't deny that. What you do may not matter to everyone, but that's okay, because it's always gonna matter to somebody. And it's why the Lego movie, being a celebration of that, is so, well, special. But who cares about that? This movie generated millions for Lego, so what better to do than make this a franchise, baby? How do you screw it up this badly? And there you have it. Every mainline Warner Bros. Anime feature ranked. So far their output has been pretty mid, yeah, brutal honesty there. Okay, while the majority of these movies weren't that bad, and there were only 2 of them on here I could say were awful, the literal top 10 of these 20 movies are ones I comfortably liked, while the bottom 10, I have no interest in watching again, even if I'm ever muzzled. But I will say that their future output looks pretty promising. They have some pretty good talent behind the Dr. Seuss movies. We might be getting a real Tom and Jerry movie this time. I probably jinxed it. And Coyote vs. Acme will finally see the light of day after the success of Day the Earth Blew Up. It sounded incomprehensible like a year ago, but things are looking fairly bright for the studio. It's just that they'll first have to get through lots and lots of what content is gonna help us win. You know, I really don't like rich people. Hopefully they all... Here's to a better future, Warner Bros. Animation. I'll be praying for you. Thanks for watching, everyone. Worked my ass off for this one, and with how long the process took, it's probably gonna be a while before you see another one of these out of me. Well, it's not to say I don't have another up my sleeve, but that's for another day. If you do want to see more of these ranking videos from me though, just don't let the video flop, please. Until next time, I'm Miyachi. See you later, Tom. Wait, that doesn't feel like a proper outro for this.
Joey, okay?
Yeah! Okay, yeah, real funny. Now, can we be a little more professional than that?
For those of you who don't get the joke, the joystick is a metaphor for...
Seriously, I'm already behind schedule. Just get to the outro. Alright, I've had enough. Who the hell is editing this?
Ain't I a stinker? Wait, I don't even know for this guy. Why is he